Hello there, dear viewer. Today I have a stack of films to recommend to you. Many of these have just come to Blu-ray for the very first time, and quite a few of these I'm experiencing for the first time as well. So hopefully if you can just take one of these as a recommendation of a film to watch for yourself, then you may well find a new film that you love. So let's get started. And this first one is quite a special one. This is a Palme d'Or winning film coming to Blu-ray for the first time in the UK. The film in question is Dancer in the Dark by Lars von Trier. This is coming from Curzon, and they did do a big Lars von Trier box set last year, which was a phenomenal box set with so many great films, but this one was absent from that set. The film stars pop icon Björk as this woman who is developing blindness, and she also has a son who shares this rare condition with her, and her main goal before she goes completely blind is to get enough money so she can buy the complicated surgery for her young son to cure him of this disease. It also happens to be a musical from Lars von Trier. So this film, even though I've just described it very briefly there, you won't quite get what this film is until you actually watch it with your own eyes. And a lot has been said about this film, and in particular the performance from Björk, and I have to say, this is one of the greatest performances I have ever seen. It is heartbreaking, and there's a lot that went on behind the scenes in the making of this film. There's a lot of controversy around how Lars von Trier and one of the producers of this film actually interacted with Björk and made her feel very unwelcome and, caused so much emotional distress. Perhaps you already know about all of that, or you can go and read up about it yourself. But this film, the end result, really is so powerful and one of the most unique films that I've ever seen. Now, its absence on Blu-ray I can only put down to the fact that this film was made on standard definition video. So in terms of fidelity of picture, it doesn't look superb, but this is an intentional choice from the filmmakers. Obviously Lars von Trier was part of the Dogma 95 movement, which was all about, guerrilla filmmaking and not using traditional filmmaking techniques. While this film doesn't quite adhere to the traditions of the Dogma type of filmmaking, it does carry on with some of those elements. So it's a film that I think is so powerful. I'm so glad that it's got a Blu-ray release because it's now more accessible to more people. Well deserving of the Palme d'Or when it won that at Cannes Film Festival. And there are some great special features on here from Curzon. There are 2 audio commentaries, and there are some other features looking into the making of the film and an interview with Lars von Trier. The film comes in this slipcover, and if you take it out, it is in a Bosanova case with a reversible sleeve. So that's Dancer in the Dark, a heartbreaking film with one of the best performances for my money. So I'm so glad that it's got a Blu-ray from Curzon. Next up, I have the A24 Blu-ray of Queer, the latest film from Luca Guadagnino, starring Daniel Craig. This is an adaptation of a William S. Burroughs novel, and in typical Burroughs fashion, the film does go to some very peculiar, dreamlike places. In the story, we follow Daniel Craig's character, who is living in Mexico City in the 1950s, and he is living a very free lifestyle and interacting with lots of different men who meet up for sex and just hang out at bars and cafes and just drink lots of alcohol and smoke and all this kind of stuff. But he is lacking any real meaningful connection with another human being, and that is what he is searching for. He meets this young man played by Drew Starkey, and together they explore lots of different things, lots of sex, and they go on an adventure which involves this search for this drug, which when the drug is taken can cause the taker to be able to communicate telepathically. The film is told in different parts. So for the first part, it creates this world, this magical idea of 1950s Mexico City, where everything just looks so appealing. Even the areas which are meant to be a bit dark and dirty, everything is just, looks so nice. And I think the cinematography here is top notch. And on this Blu-ray, the film looks beautiful. I think it's a challenging piece of filmmaking, and I don't think it's as accessible as something like Challengers, which I kind of got more of a critical acclaim than this film when that was released. But I can see in the future this film being the one that really grows in people's minds, and I think that it's going to do that for me. A24 have put together an excellent Blu-ray in their usual style of the barcode packaging. Great special features, including an audio commentary with the filmmakers, and lots of behind-the-scenes featurettes as well. Fantastic release from A24. Next, let's talk about Tokyo Pop. This is one of the latest releases from Third Window Films, which is one of my favourite labels, who specialise in bringing great Japanese cinema to Blu-ray. This one is from director Fran Rubel Kazui, who I know made Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original film, and also then got credit on every single episode of the Buffy TV show. But I'd never seen this film before, and I really fell for this film. It's about this young American punk rock girl who decides to leave her life behind and move to Japan for, a better way of living. But she doesn't know the language, and she finds it really hard to get on when she first moves there. But she meets these guys who are involved in this rock band, and together with them they create music and they get fame. And maybe it's a running theme here, but this really is a film about trying to connect to other people and sometimes feeling a disconnect, whether that's through language or just through differences in personality. I've seen some people say that this film is obviously a clear inspiration on Sofia Coppola's Lost in Translation, and it does bear some quite remarkable similarities. But I don't know if that's actually a fact, but definitely would make a good companion piece to that film. So I had a great time with this one from Third Window Films. Comes in this very nice slipcover, and there are some great special features, including an audio commentary with the director. There is a video essay on here, and then a Q&A with the director as well. So fantastic stuff. Something completely different now. I have the film Contraband. This is Lucio Fulci's mob warfare movie starring Fabio Testi, and this is honestly an insane movie. I'd never seen it before, but I'm a big fan of Fulci's other works, and now that Shameless have brought this to Blu-ray in this country, finally, I was overjoyed getting the ability to watch this in my own home. The film looks and sounds great, and it is just a crazy film. Honestly, if you like Fulci's horror work and all of the gore and the great thrills in his movies, then even though this is not a horror movie, it does have lots of that kind of gore and great effects. If you love Italian genre cinema, particularly if you're into crime stuff, gang warfare, polizioteschi movies, then this is definitely one to check out. Also from Shameless and from another Italian genre master, Umberto Lenzi, we have Oasis of Fear. This is an erotic giallo movie about these two hippies who are very free-spirited, who end up hiding out in this massive mansion, and they meet the woman who lives there, but something is off here because her husband isn't around, and they stay there with her, and there's sex and various other things going on. But behind the scenes here, there is a mystery, and it's up to our young two lovers to find out what is going on. Again, if you're a fan of Italian genre cinema, particularly if you like any of the films of Umberto Lenzi, then this is one to check out. It looks great on the Blu-ray, and there are some great special features as well. Next up, I have The Bells of Death, a Shaw Brothers movie released by Eureka on Blu-ray. This was my introduction to this movie, and this was absolutely a blast. I loved this. We follow this guy on a mission of vengeance when his family are killed and his sister is kidnapped by these bandits, and he wants to go after them and just get pure revenge. The film is packed with great action, a wuxia movie inspired by spaghetti westerns and the Japanese samurai movies. Honestly, I had such great fun with this. Fantastic special features from Eureka as well. The only thing I wish is that this film could get a more modern restoration, because the source of this Blu-ray is obviously showing its age a bit, and I imagine it's because it's the only thing that's accessible. But now that I've seen this film and having loved it, I would love to see what this film could look like if it was possible to do some new 4K restoration and bring it up to date. Now I have some films from Imprint out of Australia. The first one coming to Blu-ray for the first time, as far as I know, is In the Bedroom. This is Todd Field's movie, the director of Tar, the great film starring Cate Blanchett. This film is a tragedy with a capital T. Honestly, if you are in a bad mood or if you're looking for something to lift your spirits, do not watch this. You have to be in the right mode to be watching something like this. We follow this quite ordinary American family living by the coast, and we follow the different characters in the family and their interactions with people in the community. And I'm trying not to give too much away about this movie, but things unravel and go to some very tragic places. So I highly recommend this film if you like your tragic drama. And this is a great Blu-ray from Imprint. The film, I think, could do with a new restoration. This is obviously some older master of the movie, but it's been put together on Blu-ray from Imprint with some new special features, including an audio commentary. So this is a great film, and just beware, you have to be in the right mood to watch it. Also from Imprint, we have Man Bites Dog. This is the subversive French movie from the 1990s, which is about this documentary crew who are following this serial killer and doing a sort of profile movie on him. But as they're following him, they actually video him carrying out these murders and getting his reaction to what he's doing and his commentary. And I should say, this is not a real documentary, this is a mockumentary type of movie, but this is very dark, very sort of, if we're talking about dark comedy, black comedy, this is the blackest of black comedy. When this film came out, many people were outraged. Many people still are outraged by this movie. So this is a real kind of test, a litmus test on how much you're able to handle this kind of content. So again, if you're looking for your spirits to be lifted, perhaps not the best movie to watch, but I've wanted this to come out on Blu-ray, on an English-friendly Blu-ray for the longest time. So the fact that Imprint have done it, this is a great thing. And also from Imprint, we have the film Shattered Glass, starring Hayden Christensen, who we all know from Star Wars. This is one of the films he made before getting his big break in the Star Wars movies, where he plays a real-life journalist who rose to fame in that field, but it was later found out that he had been lying about various sources and quotes and just fabricating a load of things to propel his career. I think this is a real gem of a movie, and particularly when you hear about people talk about Hayden Christensen and his acting because of what they've seen in Star Wars, they don't like that kind of thing. He really gives a great performance here, and I have a real soft spot for this film. I think it is really one that more people should see. It's another film that could do with a brand new 4K restoration, but honestly, I don't know when that would ever happen. So to have it in my collection on Blu-ray from Imprint is a great thing. Next, we come to a Sony Picture Classics Blu-ray. This is a film that I wanted to see for the longest time, but has been widely unavailable. It is Bosanova, starring Amy Irving, who plays this English teacher based in Rio de Janeiro, and it's all about her romance with one of her English students. Now, this film actually follows lots of different characters, so it's almost a bit like a Robert Altman film in how we follow these characters and then eventually we see them overlapping and intersecting. I've seen some really harsh takes on this film from the time when it was released, because hardly anyone talks about it nowadays, and I think it's rather unfairly maligned, and I think it deserves some reappraisal. I also love it because it has this great bossa nova soundtrack, and I love Brazilian music, particularly Antonio Carlos Jobim. I think his music is phenomenal. So yeah, a real joy to get this on Blu-ray finally from Sony. Unfortunately, no special features, just the trailer, but to have the Blu-ray of this film, I absolutely loved getting this one. Now for another film that I imported from America on Blu-ray, but actually the film itself is much more local to me. The film is Funny Cow, starring Maxine Peake, where she plays this stand-up comedian who is trying to make it in this world that is often run by men, and particularly because this is set in the 1970s in the north of England, when it just would have been so difficult to be a female comedian. Now, I had to get this film because I have a real admiration for Maxine Peake's work, particularly in theatre, where I've seen her so many times in Manchester in various plays, and many of them I've been on the front row. So yeah, I really love her work, and it's a real shame that this is not available on Blu-ray in the UK. Unfortunately, this is not a pressed disc, this is a BDR, so they are much more susceptible to scratches and errors and all sorts, so it's not ideal that this is not a pressed disc. That isn't something I knew at the time of getting this, actually, so if you're someone who likes to avoid BDRs, then it's probably not one worth getting, but definitely check out the film however you can. Next I have the film Lily's Not For Me, which I think is a fantastic film, but again, it's only on this BDR and is not available in the UK. It's a film about these two young men who develop feelings for one another, but they really don't want that, or society doesn't want them to have those feelings. And so they essentially explore conversion therapy. So again, this is not a very cheery movie and a real tearjerker. And I think this is a great piece of filmmaking that I haven't seen too many people talk about. I wish this could get a great release from another label, but for now, I got it on this Blu-ray. And similarly with the film Little Girl Blue, starring Marion Cotillard, this is about this young woman trying to reconnect with her mother, and this is based on the director's relationship with her own mother, so very autobiographical, and in some ways you can look at it as a kind of comparison to After Sun, you know, the longing for a relationship with one's parent and kind of dissecting that through cinema. I think it has a great central performance. Just again, I wish this was given a proper press disc, and I don't think it has anywhere in the world. So for now, I'm going to have to watch it on this BDR. So there we go. That was a big stack of films that I've been enjoying on Blu-ray lately. I know I rattled through them quite quickly there. It's because I'm losing my voice, but also just in the interest of time, I don't like to linger too long on any particular film. However, if you have any questions about these films or these releases, then please do leave them in a comment down below. Stick around on the channel for more reviews and recommendations. Just click the video on screen right now. Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.